This is Julian, and I'm here in San Francisco, and what we're going to jump into in this video here is a segment from last night's live event where I reveal the top things that hold people back from success when it comes to their health, their wealth, their relationships, and their happiness. Now, before we jump into it, be sure to hit the subscribe button below this video as well as the little bell next to it so that you're notified next time a video comes your way. Do so now and pay very close attention. Enjoy. Has anyone heard about this? A seminar high? Has anyone experienced a seminar high before? Right? So when you come to an event like this and you leave and you're like, that's amazing, I'm on cloud nine, yes. And then guess what? Does it last? Yes or no? No. No. And that is normal, and that is fine, and that is good. Okay? Number one, don't try to maintain the seminar high. Okay? That's not the goal. The goal is not to come here and be like, oh, just quickly pump my state, give me the seminar high, and leave all high. I know it's San Francisco, and you're like, oh, there's more high, there's different kinds of high. No, okay? Instead, use this seminar high to make key decisions. Okay, this is very important. Your reality is a result of who you are. You can't create a new reality with the same you. So what does this mean? Right now, you have a quote-unquote comfort zone. A comfort zone in terms of who you are, what you usually feel, how you usually think. Now, trying to use that, operating in that paradigm of like, this is my comfort zone, and trying to change things, it just won't work, right? It's just going to fuel more of what you know, what you feel, who you are. So for things to change, you need to start acting outside of that comfort zone. And that's what a seminar high does. Okay, a seminar high is you entering a heightened perspective. And from that heightened perspective, you can start seeing things differently. You start thinking differently. And use that state to make key decisions. You will fall back in your day-to-day life. And the goal is not to try to maintain that state indefinitely. It's like, okay, I'm in this heightened state. I got some altitude on my stuff, on my life, on my problems. What are some key decisions I can take? And then make those decisions then. That's how you should use a seminar high properly. It's not to maintain it. It's not the goal. It's simply you snapping out of the default, of the routine, of the autopilot patterns, and then seeing things from a different perspective. Okay? So keep that in mind. Whatever you experience here today, don't try to maintain it. Use it to audit your life and make key decisions. Going deeper, put your ego aside. Okay? If I think back to some of the biggest mistakes I see in clients, it's this. Number one, if you haven't made it, if you haven't achieved what you're after, and you've put in a considerable amount of time and effort, realize that you don't got what it takes. This is harsh. Because what's the ego saying? No, I do have what it takes. I'm smart enough. I'm good enough. No, you're not. If you were, you would have figured it out. This here is what separates people who get ahead and people who don't. People who are willing to admit that they don't have what it takes, that they aren't smart enough. I was fortunate to be one of those people. When I first started out, I was like, oh, I'm going to try to work on my social skills, and I just failed. I was too afraid. I'd come up with excuses. I would suck. And instead of being stubborn and being like, oh, I'm going to just figure it out, and I got what it takes, I was like, you know what? I don't. And that's fine. Once you admit you don't have what it takes, what can you do? You can start asking for help. You can start looking outside of yourself for resources. And unfortunately, people don't do that. They hang on to, oh, I got what it takes, I'm smart enough, I'll figure it out, I'll do it alone, instead of just putting your ego aside, taking the hit. You can't do it alone. If you were smart enough, you wouldn't be here, you would have done it. At what point are you going to be like, well, okay, I've wasted enough time, maybe I'm too stupid, and guess what? That's okay. It's okay to not be able to do it alone, and it's okay to ask for help. Okay, this is one of the things I make everyone who I coach sign. By the way, I make them sign a commitment letter, let's just say, when they start their coaching. And one of them is asking for help isn't a form of weakness. And they have to sign that and commit to it. It's okay to ask for help. It's crazy how we think that asking for help is like admitting defeat. Oh, I'm asking for help. Oh, I'm ashamed of it. It's like, no, it's not a form of weakness. Admit, like, okay, audit yourself. Do I have what it takes? Do I keep putting things off? Do I keep procrastinating? Do I keep coming up with excuses? Do I keep failing? Do I keep falling into the same habits over and over again? If so, I don't have what it takes. I'll accept that, and I will now ask for help. It's not a form of weakness. It doesn't make me less of a person. This is how I get ahead. If you think of a lot of the things you've been struggling with and how long you've been struggling with those things, imagine if from the start you're like, you know what, I suck, let me ask for help. You would have solved them much faster and you wouldn't have wasted so much time. Okay? Things aren't fine. This is the other thing. The ego is very good at telling you that it's okay, it's not that bad, you'll figure it out, next week it'll be different, tomorrow it'll be different, next month it'll be different. It won't. Take the hit. Realize that your problems are not like small problems, and they run much deeper than you think they do. Okay? You've just made it a habit of tolerating. And just take a pause here and notice if there's a little voice in the background saying, listen to him. Where have you been tolerating? Where have you been playing too small? Where have you been giving up? Where have you been holding back? And don't just think of the first area of life that comes to mind, like, well, I guess I've been holding back when it comes to putting myself out there socially. Okay, that's one aspect. But where else has this been affecting you? It's not pleasant to think about this, but guess what? Taking that hit, being like, wow, is extremely motivating. Put your ego aside. Be like, okay, where is this holding me back? In relationships, job-wise, where have I been tolerating mediocrity? Look at the trajectory of your life, right? Problems don't get better with time. We think the more time will help. No, problems get worse. You ever hear when you're in the flow and you're doing what you love, time flies by? Yes or no? Yeah. You know what else? When you're not doing what you love and you're in a derp state, time flies by too. Let that sink in. If you look back at the past few years, if not much has changed, guess what? The next few years, unless you take massive action, nothing's going to change either. Okay, people just get into this derp state. It's like, I remember I would do this, well, actually I have it here. I had this summer job on a garbage truck. Okay, you can see the picture right here. I was on a garbage truck. It was actually an amazingly well-paid summer job. And I would do this job and it would just suck. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. Like the first few days, I would collapse getting home. I would look at the other people who worked on the garbage truck and they had black veins sticking out from standing up so much. It was just horrible. Great people, but just a horrible job. And the first few days, I felt the hit. I'm like, oh, this sucks. This is the worst thing ever, drained. But guess what? We're very good at tolerating problems, bad situations. And after a while, I got used to it. I'm like, look, I'm doing this all summer. Let's just surrender to this horrible job and bad situation. And what would happen? I'd show up for work and I would proactively put myself in a derp state. So time would fly by. I'm like, this is going to suck so much if I'm way too present. It's going to be horrible. Let's just go into a little dream fantasy land. Let's just derp it out, think of something else, daydream, and try to make the day go by as fast as it can. Did it work? Yeah. And that was my summer. Literally going there on the garbage truck, derping it out, coming home, and that summer flew by. People do that with their lives. They go to work, they hate their job, they're like, oh, let me think of something else, derp state, oh, time flies by. They get home, and guess what? They hate their lives. They come home, they're like, oh, derp state, let me put some TV show, some music, let's derp it out. Oh, I'm in California, let's smoke some weed, derp it out even more. And that's their entire lives, and it just flies by. They're like, what happened this past week? I don't know, this is just in a derp state. My life is too horrible to tolerate. Derp it out till I die. That's the strategy of the average human. Derp it out till I die. Most people aren't even excited to wake up. Anyone here have trouble waking up in the morning? Raise your hand if so. Really? Everyone else is super excited? You're like, you're awake, you're like, I'm awake! Really? It's a lot more than that people raise their hands. okay? But if you think about this, like, what's behind the you like having trouble waking up? Now, granted, it could be that you're not sleeping enough, in which case, get enough sleep. But for a lot of people, they get enough sleep and they still have trouble waking up in the morning. Why? Because there's no excitement in their lives. They wake up and it's like, ugh, another day. Let's quickly, let's drink the coffee to help with it and just go into the derp state again. That's it.
Maybe they're escaping.
Okay. You think? Or maybe they're escaping their shitty lives. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Most people live lives of escapism. Very good observation, though, however. No, but it's true. It's like there's nothing exciting about it. They escape it, and that was me most of my life. Okay, I did that even in college in Switzerland. I was just going there, and I was just like derping out through the day. I had very little excitement. My purpose and passion revolved around new TV shows and movies that would come out. Like, that was my purpose. I'm like, oh, the new episode's coming out, and that would excite me all week. It's like, what are you excited about this week? The new episode of Lost. Okay. Literally, that was it. Nothing else going for me. Okay. So, going back to this, the sooner your ego takes the hit, the better. Stop telling yourself things are okay. Audit your life. Be harsh with yourself and be like, what's the trajectory? Where is this going? 5, 10 years from now, are things going to get better? No. You get more ingrained in your habits, your ways of doing things. You get more tired. You come up with more excuses. You have more responsibility. Nothing gets easier with time. Right? We think time is the answer. No. Time just makes things worse. Okay? Most people's trajectory in lives is just free falling. It's a disaster. I've seen it over the years. Like I said, I've been traveling around doing this for 10 years. I've seen people 10 years ago like, I'm doing it, and then just crash. Okay? So, step 1 here is put your ego aside and take the hit. It's not pleasant, but admit you're living a pathetic life. Not only are you living a pathetic life, you don't have what it takes to change it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the thing. As soon as you hear me say that, it's like there's probably a little bit of defensiveness. Like, no. It's like, no, it's fine. Admit it. As soon as you come to terms with the truth, now you can do something about it. That's what I did. Okay, for those of you who aren't familiar, when I started working on my social skills, this is back in 2006, I went out and I was like, okay, I'm going to babysit this. I'm going to start talking to strangers, right? And I went out in a city nearby, and I literally gave myself the challenge, like, what's the easiest thing I can possibly do? Go and say hi to someone and ask them for the time. That was it. That was my mission. If I can go up to a stranger who I don't know, ask them for the time, get the time and say thank you and leave, it's a success. Now, I picked the most innocent target for this, an old person. The older, the better, preferably with a cane. And literally, like, I would find the most innocent person who couldn't say, oh, like, and I was like, okay, find the old person, ask for the time, and I couldn't do it. Literally couldn't do it. The old person would walk by, and I'm like, oh, and I'd try to follow them, trying to find a better opportunity. It was super creepy. Could never say hi. People in the city probably saw me just following these old people around. It's like, what does he even want? Like, what time is it? And it was months of this, literally like 2-3 months of me unable to say hi or ask for the time. That's how bad it was. Now, I could have been all stubborn, thinking, you know what? I just need more time and passion and energy and just discipline. Or I could just be like, you know what? You suck. And take the hit. And that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I can't do this alone. And I couldn't. What did I do? Having confronted that and taken the hit, I then started surrounding myself with people who would push me to take action. I put myself in a situation where I didn't have a choice. That's what I did. Don't be delusional. That's the land of the ego, just being all delusional, thinking that you'll figure it out someday or some magical moment will happen and this crazy thing will change everything for you. It's not. Okay, you're not living some crazy Disney movie where you're Peter Parker and then the spider bites you and now you're Spider-Man. That's not you. You're not in a Disney movie, right? We're being conditioned this way, by the way. It's like you watch all these movies, it's like the nobody, and then this crazy thing happens, and they're the hero, and they prove everyone wrong. And you're probably thinking, well, I'm in my beginning stages. When's the magical moment coming, right? Spider, bite me. Any spider. I have low standards, just any spider, bite me. It's not coming, okay? If you want to be Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, bite yourself. Okay, there is no magical moment. Take the hit and realize you need help, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Okay? Now, going deeper. Don't complicate things. Okay, we think, okay, I need help, I need all this crazy stuff. No, you just need 3 things. You could call it SAS. Support Accountability System. That's it. Okay? The YouTube world of today, the social media world of today conditions us to think that we need all this crazy stuff. We need all the newest programs, the newest techniques, the newest ideas, the newest stuff, and the newest angles, and the crazy thing, and the retreats, and the certification, and this. It's like, no. 3 things. Support Accountability System. That's what I did myself. Support, I surrounded myself with people who believed in me, who supported me. Okay, and just think of it like that. Right now, whatever it is you're holding back on, imagine you surround yourself with people who, no matter what you did, they're like, hey, you got this. You had a screensaver saying, you got this. You would take way more action. I see it in all my coaching programs when, say people are in a Facebook group, they'll ask a question like, hey, I have trouble with this. And an answer is like, hey, you got this. Someone believing you is so powerful. Anyone, even a stranger is saying, hey, you got this. Now it's no longer you alone. Right? That's how I finally started taking action, asking people for the time, by the way. I surrounded myself with people who were also working on their social skills. Strangers. And they were like, hey, go for it. You got this. I was like, really? And that got me to take action. Okay? A key quote to remember is sometimes all it takes is just one person who believes in you. Say there's a coaching program. Okay? I have my mentorship that I do. And this actually was on a call last weekend. Okay? I do these live calls. And the thing with the mentorship is that everyone takes massive action. Okay, now, if you think about it, what makes someone who joins, say, the mentorship take massive action? Is it me flying to their house and doing it for them? No. Like, let's really sink into this. Say I'm like, hey, man, I want to mentor you. You want to be a mentor? You want to mentor? There's going to be support and accountability, and we're going to get you to do the work. You're like, yeah. But if you realistically look at it, like, okay, what's going to change? Like, am I going to fly out there and force you to do it? No. So what's going to make you do the work? What about, like, a mentorship is going to make you do the work? The money. Right? So what he said is, 1, the money, which is true. Okay? If you think about it, money eliminates excuses for people, big time, because there's skin in the game. That's the first thing I say to anyone who joins. Who here's in the mentorship, by the way? Raise your hand. You? Okay. First thing I say is, like, you have some skin in the game. If anyone asks a question like, oh, I've been putting off this assignment, or I have trouble doing this, I literally call them out. I'm like, what the f*** are you doing? Is money a joke to you? You've put in this money to this mentorship. Like, what are you doing? Why are you not taking action? Are you just going to let it go to waste? And they're like, oh, they take action immediately. I'm not doing it for them. The money's doing it for them. So money is one, and the other is people. Someone said, like, my expectation. Yeah, my expectation is one where they don't want to disappoint me. If it's just you by yourself, you're going to slack off. Why? Because as we talked about before, you've been tolerating mediocrity. And if it's just you by yourself and no one knows and there's no skin in the game, there's no repercussions, then whatever. You've all had it. Monday, things will change. I'm going to go to the gym. Monday comes. What happens if I don't go to the gym? Nothing. Right? Is anyone going to come up to your door like, why don't you go to the gym? No, no one. No one will know. No one will care. If it's you with yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. That's how we work. But hey, involve money and people. Now you don't have a choice. Analyze your life. Where am I holding back? Where am I not smart enough? Where do I not have what it takes? Where do I keep coming up with excuses? And what can I do involving people and money to make it so I don't have a choice but to succeed? That's success. okay? It's literally like, okay, I don't have a choice. Like say right now, it's like, okay, say you come up with excuses to go out and socialize. Oh, I'm too scared, I don't want to be like me back in the day. Oh, the old lady, can't say hi, can't ask for the time. Say I went to someone, anyone, could even be a stranger or a friend. I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you 10K. Okay, 10K. And you're going to make me do it. 10K, if I don't do it, you keep the 10K. Are you going to do it? Yes. Yes or no? Yeah. So what did you do? You put yourself in a situation where you don't have a choice. Whatever it is you're procrastinating on, give your friend like $500. Say, hey, if I don't do the thing, you keep the 500. You're going to do the thing. You put yourself in a situation where there is no choice. Now, this goes against the mainstream advice that you hear, which is you need massive discipline and willpower. Right? This is a huge block to success, where I remember thinking that, and I'm like, man, those people are super successful, they're always responsible, they always take right action, they're so disciplined, they have massive work ethic. How do they do it? I'm not like that. How will I ever make it? But that's not true. Those successful people are just as lazy as you. I am just as lazy as you. Put Netflix in front of me, I'll spend a whole week watching Netflix. Yay. Right? Now, why is it that I managed to get ahead? This. I didn't lie to myself thinking I was more than that. I admitted it. I'm like, okay, I'm pathetic. I'm scared. I come up with excuses. I put things off. I keep procrastinating. I keep falling into bad habits. I keep rationalizing. And that's me. Now, understanding that, this is what I'm dealing with. What can I do so that this pathetic me has no choice but to succeed? That's what you do. You look at yourself and you put yourself in a situation where you just don't have a choice. It's like whatever it is you're procrastinating on, say it's like give your buddy $500. What's the hardest part? Here. It lasts a second, then that's it. Okay? That's what people do with trainers at the gym. It's like, here's the money, make me do it. Because now you don't have to spend all the willpower making yourself do it. You don't need discipline, you're there. You're in a situation where you don't have a choice. You're in a situation where success is inevitable. So let this sink in. Money and people, accountability, support, those two factors, without them, you're not going to make it. And lastly, having a system. SAS. Support, accountability, system. That's the formula. Another way of viewing this, by the way, is 20% of success is the how-to, aka the system. 80% is applying the how-to. So what does that mean? Everyone here knows what they should do to get ahead, or at least a few steps in terms of what to do to get ahead, right? Do you know one thing, if you applied it every day, would improve your life? Yes. Everyone does. The problem is we don't do it. So it's not like the content is missing. You have the content. You have too much content. You're just not applying it. 20% mechanics, how-to, 80% mindset, applying the how-to, letting go of resistance, inner blocks, limiting beliefs, procrastination, self-sabotage, fear. That's the big challenge. Accountability and people and money is what does that. Now, in terms of the system, this is what I personally follow. After all my years traveling around the world, this is the map. Okay, no matter what sticking point you have, no matter what it is you're working on, it links to this map here. Okay, so what is this? If you start at the bottom, apathy, you move all the way up to love. This illustrates the natural sequence of transformation. Okay, apathy, you could say, is someone who has lost hope, who's given up. Someone's like, oh, what's the point? Okay, a lot of people in society reside there. From someone who's in apathy, they can move up to grief. What is grief? It's a land of victimhood, right? I'm a victim. Now, seeing it like this, what does it mean? For someone who's in apathy, who's given up, if you tell them, hey, you're actually a victim, is that good advice? Yes or no? Is telling someone they're a victim good advice?
Yes.
Really? Say telling someone like, hey, you're actually a victim. It's not in your control.
Sometimes. Yes. Yes.
Yes or no?
No.
Yes and no. So, a couple things to take from this. Okay? There's different advice for different levels. This is huge. Okay? This map will not only give you the direction, but it'll reconcile a lot of the contradictions that you see in the self-help world. Meaning, telling someone they're a victim, is it good advice? If they're in apathy, it's amazing advice. If they're up above apathy, not necessarily. If someone's given up hope, and there's like, oh, what's the point? They're at the bottom, screw this. And you tell that person, hey, it's not your fault, it's the government's fault. That's empowering. Wait a minute. You mean that there's actually some hope? It's just that someone else screwed me over? What? You mean it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault? That's empowering. That's great advice. Now, what happens if you stay in that state for too long? It's horrible. It'll eat you up inside. But from apathy, it moves you up. Okay? So apathy, you move up to victimhood. Once you're in victimhood, then it's time to put your foot down. No more of this victim. Take responsibility. That's scary, though. Now you move up to fear. Okay? Stop being a little bitch. Put your foot down and take responsibility. But if you say that's someone who's in apathy, it's too much. But someone who's in grief, yes. Someone who's in grief, you could also move them up to anger. Hey, instead of being like a little victim and feeling all sorry for yourself, what about getting pissed? What about proving people wrong? That's empowering. Okay? Now, from apathy to anger, these are all the competitive states. It's you versus. Apathy, it's you versus others. It's me versus the world. But, whatever, what's the point? I can't make it. In grief, it's me versus others. I'm a victim. It's kind of like the whiny state. Oh, I'm a victim. What's the point? In fear, it's me versus others. Must protect myself. Must avoid. In anger, it's me versus others. I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to do something about it. And then, once you're in anger, by the way, that's when you forgive. In grief, it's not time to forgive. Because what happens if you're in grief, victimhood? It's like, can you forgive? It's like, oh, it just makes you feel more sorry. In grief, it's like, no, be pissed. And then once you're in anger, forgive. Then you shift to courage, and that's when we finally start playing to win. Apathy to anger is playing not to lose. Courage, you get a glimpse of playing to win. What is my win? But then what happens is you start playing to win, and your ego kicks in. Ooh, I could actually get a lot of money with this, a lot of validation, a lot of approval, and you sell out on what your win is. Okay? You could say that apathy to anger is avoiding the stick, carrot and stick approach. Courage, you get a glimpse of what your actual win is, but then you sell out for the carrot. When you let go of desire, you let go of the carrot, and you discover what your inspirational purpose is, okay, your direction, life purpose, and then you shift up to love. Now, understanding this scale, it challenges the mainstream approach, which is following the feel good, right? How do you know you're doing well in the mainstream approach? I feel better, I feel better, I feel better. That's how I know I'm doing good. Say you're in grief, and suddenly you start experiencing fear or anger. What's your mind going to tell you? Oh, I'm doing it wrong. And you go back. No, fear and anger is actually good if you're coming from grief. It means you're progressing. However, if you're from courage and you're moving down, not necessarily. So now you have the direction. Most people fail because they don't have the direction, so they're just kind of going in the dark, and they're like, oh, this doesn't feel too good, and they just remain stuck. It's like the barrier of the feel good. The other mistake is not only do people not know the direction, but people try to aim too high. So you're in apathy, you try to go up to love or purpose. You're in fear, you try to go up to desire. Too big of a jump. Instead, aim for the next level up. If you're in grief, move up to fear. If you're in courage, move up to desire. Don't make too big of a jump. People try a few times and they just give up. And the last one, like I said, is there's different advice for each level. Here, be a victim. Here, stop being a bitch. And then you move up and it's like, hey, stop perhaps being motivated by fear and anger and instead be motivated by love. But tell someone who's in apathy, hey, be motivated by love. It's not going to resonate. So there's different advice for each level. And here's the other mistake people make is they use the wrong advice for the level that they're at. Okay? So 3 key mistakes here, and I hope you took notes. 1, they don't know the direction. They follow the feel good. 2, they try to aim too high. 3, they apply the wrong advice. They might be at the level of fear and they're applying the advice of purpose. And of course, that's not going to work. The other thing I'd say is start viewing yourself and treating yourself as someone you care about. Sounds a little weird, right? Like, what do you mean as someone I care about? It's crazy how when, say there's a family member and say they might be sick or something, they might need your help. You're going to go above and beyond to help them, right? Regardless of your excuses. But as soon as it comes to you, you're like, whatever, it's just me. Because you don't value yourself. Remember, there's not that self-respect. Imagine you were that family member. Treat yourself like that. Start respecting yourself. Take yourself seriously. And don't wait for that magical moment. Remember, as we discussed before, most people's lives, if you look at the trajectory, it doesn't get better with time. They're in a trance. Time flies by. The longer it flies by, the more tired and the more ingrained you are in bad habits, and you remain stuck. You ever see it with older people who might have had a horrible diet their entire lives, and you tell them, hey, you should probably change your diet. Do they do it? No, because it's way too ingrained. Audit yourself. What are you addicting yourself to? What do you think most of the time? What do you feel most of the time? What are your thoughts most of the time? What are your habits most of the time? The same with you with like the bad habits, spending stuff on BS. You're hooking yourself on that. Every day it's like, oh, it's becoming more and more me. That's why I'm like, the foot down, do something about it, do something drastic. And remember, use this seminar high, which you might be in, to make those decisions.